The Russian economy has been in a steep decline for some time now, and many are starting to worry if the country is headed for a full-blown economic crisis. Many are now worried that this economic decline could lead to widespread unrest in the country and could even lead to the collapse of the Russian economy itself. It does not help that Vladimir Putin has been rigging currency markets, selectively reporting data, and concealing crucial economic indicators to prevent other countries to know about their situation. It's a stupid mistake on the part of the mainstream media to believe Putin's statements when members of the local government are protesting in secret during parliament sessions. With this in mind, let's take a look at the current situation facing the Russian economy, the reasons for its impending doom, and what this could mean for the country in the future. The collapse of the Russian economy is something that many people have been talking about over the past few years. The government has tried to address these issues by reducing its reliance on foreign investment, but it has only served to slow down the rate at which the country is declining. The economy of Russia now finds itself in a difficult situation that is complicated by rising inflation and a stagnant real GDP growth rate. Coupled with the Western sanctions due to Russia invading Ukraine, Russia's GDP is barely $1.4 trillion. Almost overnight, 42% of Russia's GDP left the nation. Not only that, more than 1,000 businesses have ceased operations there. Russia believes that sanctions have resulted in a loss of 12 to 15% of direct jobs. Based on their statistics, we might assume that between 35% and 40% of the Russian labor force is unemployed indirectly. Under the principle that another man's spending is another man's income, it's safe to assume that if 12 to 15% of the population suddenly lost their jobs, and they won't buy anything else either. According to Russia's own statistics, this raises the jobless rate to between 35% and 40%. So, what does this mean for the economy of Russia? This means that prices will continue to rise as there are fewer and fewer business and products that are being sold in the country. People are struggling to buy necessities and appliances such as cars as Russia does not have enough resources to manufacture them. As the global economy continues to struggle, Russia is facing another serious problem that could threaten its economy and potentially send the country into a deep recession. The country's budget deficit has continued to increase as the government continues to spend more and more in an attempt to pull the country out of its economic slump. In addition, the falling prices of oil have forced the Russian government to cut spending in social programs and eliminate other subsidies to balance its budget, causing many Russians to lose their jobs further and leaving many of them living in poverty. As a result, many people have started to fear for the future of the Russian economy, especially now that the threat of an economic recession seems very real. The falling prices of oil and the loss of its customers due to the sanctions have a huge impact on Russia's economy, as Russia's oil and gas exports account for 40% of the country's GDP. Putin has made it clear that he would rather sell oil and natural gas to China and India than the West. That is untrue in every way. Let's begin with natural gas. It's difficult to ramp up sales because pipelines are needed to deliver the gas. It takes time to construct a pipeline and a longer time to plan, set up, and construct them. Putin will argue that he can bypass the pipeline system altogether by trading in liquefied natural gas, which can be shipped over the ocean. Another myth debunked. Only 10% of Russia's natural gas is liquefied, hence the remaining 90% must be shipped through pipelines. Natural gas is transferred from Russia to Europe via a complex system of pipes. It is no longer possible to use these pipelines because of Europe's decision to stop doing business with Russia. Although Russia has its own system of pipelines that runs through eastern Siberia and into Asia. When compared to Russia's European network, its Siberian one has only a tenth of the capacity. There are new pipelines being built to link Russia and East Asia, but finishing them will take a long time, and Russia's deteriorating economic position further threatens the country's ability to pay for the construction of additional pipelines. A major amount of Russia's income has vanished because the country is unable to sell its natural gas. Russian natural gas giant Gazprom has reduced its natural gas output by 36%, indicating severe market weakness. Russia is is having difficulties importing oil as well, much like they did with natural gas. Getting oil from Russia to East Asia takes about 35 days, but getting oil from Russia to Europe simply takes about 2 days. As a result, 53% of Russia's oil exports normally head to Europe. But, as was previously said, most of Europe has severed commercial ties with Russia. According to the Russian government, Putin has forced to sell oil to India and China at a significantly lower price because Europe is no longer a consumer. With its main income cut off, Russia is short on funds. Nonetheless, no one is willing to give money to Russia because of its collapsing economy. China used to be Russia's primary source of funding, but now China no longer extends loans to Russia. In 2013, the Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI for short, was started by the Chinese government. Strategy to improve the regional economic infrastructure, the Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI, consists of two parts: the road at its base and the belt that around it. A sizable chunk of the belt was made up of Russian territory. Over $932 billion has been spent on BRI projects in Russia since 2013. Due to Western sanctions, all BRI funding in Russia has dried up, amounting to zero. An educator at China's Fanhai International School claims that Western sanctions on Russia have discouraged Beijing. There's no need to be surprised by this. Russia missed a recent interest payment on some $100 million in international bonds. Defaulting on its debts is something Russia hasn't done since 1998. The Russian government has claimed that they had already paid the interest due on May 27th, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Russia says it paid through the bank Euroclear, which then dispersed the funds to investors. Euroclear, meanwhile, has not yet received payment. To add insult to injury, bondholders in Taiwan, who Russians hold the debt, say that they too have yet to receive interest payments. After a credit downgrade, Russia is now considered to be in default. Britain has paid for all government expenditures in Russia out of the country's income and reserves. The problem is that Russia is spending more than it is taking in at the moment, drying up their emergency funds as we speak. It seems that Russia's impending doom is mainly caused by its government's actions that left its citizens in anguish and despair. Not only that, Russian elites are also said to be planning a coup due to this. But is it really too late for the government to do something to prevent a recession? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. See you on our next video.